For so many people, hearing a doctor say you have severe osteoarthritis in your knee, well, it can feel like a door slamming shut. The end of an active life, the end of just moving around without pain. It can feel like a final diagnosis. But what if it wasn't an ending at all? What if it was actually a new beginning? Okay, so here's where we're headed. We're going to start with a problem that millions of people face. Then we'll look at how one famous coach made a choice that changed everything. We'll dive into the science of how you can actually regrow cartilage, look at the proof, and see how this turned one hospital into a global destination. And stick around, because the last stop is a discovery that might just change how we think about aging itself. For the longest time, if your knee cartilage was worn out, you were basically told there was one road, and it was a dead end. The only real long-term option doctors could offer was a total artificial joint replacement. And this really gets to the heart of the difference in philosophy, right? The old way means cutting away your own bone to fit in a piece of metal and plastic. It works, sure, but it has a shelf life, and you probably can't go back to playing sports like you used to. The new path? It's the complete opposite. It's about regenerating what you lost, keeping your own bone, and getting you back to a fully active life. So, how did this whole regenerative idea really get on the map? Well, it starts with a story about someone who just wasn't going to accept those old limits. The world-famous football coach, Goose Hiddent. Now, here's the magic behind it. This isn't about implanting someone else's tissue into your body. It uses what are called mesenchymal stem cells, which come from umbilical cord blood. And because these cells are so new, your body doesn't see them as foreign. It doesn't fight them. Instead, they act like tiny little conductors for an orchestra, signaling your own body to start healing and rebuilding the cartilage it's lost. And Hiddent's story is just incredible proof that this isn't some quick fix. He was the very first international patient way back in 2014. The results were so good and so lasting that 8 years later he came back to get his other knee done. And today, he's 82 years old and plays tennis every single day. I mean, think about that statement. The best gift I received in Korea was my knee surgery. That wasn't just him saying thank you. It was like he lit a signal fire for thousands of other people all over the world who were looking for a better answer. He showed them there was another way. Okay, so let's get into the nitty-gritty. How does this cartilage actually, regrow? The procedure isn't like some massive reconstruction. It's more of a precision repair, and the idea behind it is something we can all understand. And the whole philosophy is actually brilliant. Think about going to the dentist. If you have one cavity, they don't pull out the whole tooth, right? They just fix the bad part. It's the same idea here. Why replace an entire joint when you can just repair the damaged spot? The goal is to save everything that's still healthy and regenerate only what's gone. It's this really precise 5-step process. First, the surgeon goes in and pinpoints the exact area of damage. Then, they carefully clear out only the bad cartilage. Step 3 is super important. They make these tiny little holes in the bone underneath to create a healthy bed for new growth. Then, they implant the stem cells. And finally, the cells get to work, telling the body, okay, time to build a new knee surface right here. So, before the procedure, this is what the surgeon sees inside the knee. And you can almost feel the pain just looking at it, can't you? That rough, exposed bone where the smooth, protective cartilage is just gone. That's where all the grinding and inflammation comes from. But then, 1 year later, look at this. It's completely transformed. That same spot is now covered with this beautiful, smooth, white, healthy layer of new cartilage. The Korean doctors who developed this have this great word for it, posong posong. It means soft and fluffy, like fresh snow. It's just amazing visual proof that your body can do this, no matter how old you are. Okay, this all sounds incredible, right? Maybe a little too good to be true? Well, for something this new, you need proof, hard proof. And in this case, the evidence stands on 2 really strong pillars, solid science and a whole lot of successful patients. First, let's talk science. The results of this treatment aren't just stories. They've been carefully studied, documented, and published in 8 different, highly respected international medical journals. That means the data is out there for the entire world scientific community to see and review. And then there's the proof in the people. This isn't some tiny experimental thing anymore. We're talking about more than 2,900 successful procedures. That's over a decade of real-world results, building a mountain of evidence that shows this is safe and, more importantly, that it works. So, when you combine that hard science with thousands of happy patients, what happens? Well, a single hospital in Seoul basically becomes a global hub for knee regeneration. People from all over the planet are now making the trip, specifically looking for this alternative to a knee replacement. I mean, just look at where people are coming from. The US, all over Europe, China, Mongolia, the Middle East, you name it. They're all traveling to this one hospital in Gangnam because they want a chance to rebuild their knee, not just replace it. And we're not just talking about regular folks. This treatment has earned the trust of people who could literally go anywhere in the world for care. We're talking about members of the royal family from Qatar and even the former Minister of Defense from the UAE. When people like that choose to fly to Korea for this specific procedure, it tells you something. But honestly, beyond all the VIPs and headlines, it really comes down to stories like this one. A patient from Los Angeles. You can imagine they were probably nervous, had a lot of questions, but they took the leap. And the result? They got their life back. A normal, daily life without pain. That's the real prize. All right, for our last stop on this journey, we're going to talk about something the doctors themselves didn't even see coming. After they had been doing these procedures for over 10 years, they started looking back at their very first patients, and they noticed something. Well, surprising. It made them step back and ask a really wild question. By giving people back the ability to move freely, were they accidentally doing more than just fixing a knee? Could they actually be slowing down the entire aging process? And the theory they came up with makes so much sense when you think about it. It's like a chain reaction. When your knees hurt, you stop moving. When you stop moving, you lose muscle. When you lose muscle, your circulation gets worse. And that whole downward spiral, that's what makes us feel old. So if you fix the knee, you can move again, you build muscle, your circulation improves, and you actually slow that process down. Dr. Song, the very surgeon who started all this with HITINC, he saw it with his own eyes. He said he looked at patients he treated 10 years ago and realized they had barely aged. And it led him to this profound idea. Maybe, for a lot of us, the whole process of aging really kicks off with damage to our joints. So, think about this. Regrowing your own joints isn't science fiction anymore. It's happening for thousands of people. And it leaves us with this incredible, mind-bending question for the future of our health. What if the key to living a longer, healthier life isn't just buried in our DNA, but is actually waiting to be unlocked inside our joints?